Hello everyone, my name is Lady Yazbat and we're back in the library today. This is becoming a once a month segment where I will talk to you about books. If you haven't watched episode 1, I will leave a link here, up in the corner, so you can go and have a look. Last time, we talked about the Mistborn series, Jim Butcher and Garth Nix. So I'm going to take a little moment to just say, it's here! It's here. I have it. It's shiny. I can't wait to read it. It's going to be amazing. Oh, you have no idea how excited I am to read this. Yeah. So anyway, what am I reading now? Several of you gave me some very, very good recommendations, so I have decided to pick up Battleaxe, which is the Axis Trilogy, pardon my French, by Sara Douglas, and so far I'm actually incredibly impressed by it. It's going to be a long read, and there are certain parts of it I'm just going, oh, I can see where this is going already. But it's the first book in the series. It tells the story of a kingdom at war, the people within it, and how everything's kind of coming to play with it's got magic, it's got fighting, it's got romance. It's kind of got everything kind of hurled in there. It's got a love triangle. It had a love triangle in the first 2 chapters. I really liked the way it started. It didn't pull any punches. Yeah, I read the first chapter and went, okay then. So that's the sort of book this is going to be. If you go and read it, you'll understand exactly what I meant. And it pulled me in and it got me to continue. I've had to pause reading it just for a little bit because it's been a rough week at work and I need something a little bit more light-hearted. So I chose to then pick up Espionage and Etiquette, which is book 1 of the Finishing School series by Gail. And it's all set in a steampunk Victorian setting with werewolves and vampires and spies, and I love it. I'm going to be quite honest, I was incredibly impressed. I love the characters, I love the way it's written. I'm currently over halfway through it, and I'm going to end up finishing it tonight. It's an absolutely brilliant read. It's very eccentric. It simultaneously tells a good story whilst not being too serious about itself. But it has a lot of charm. It has a lot of technical details that I really like. I mean, the Finishing School itself is set on a giant steampunk air balloon. Yeah, go read it. It's really good. Coming up soon, I have the Masked City, which is part of the Invisible Library series. I read the first book, which is called The Invisible Library. I picked it up for 99p on the Kindle as a why the hell not kind of read, thinking this could either be really good or horrifically bad. And once again, I was pleasantly surprised by it. You'd be amazed by how many books there are by lesser-known authors that selling their books on the Kindle for £1 are actually quite a lot better than some like AAA novels that I have read over the last few years. This one, again, it takes itself seriously but is really quite whimsical at the same time. The premise of it is that there is a giant library in an alternative dimension, run by covert librarians whose job it is to go out into alternative universes to get books. Sounds good, right? Sounds like it could either work or it couldn't work. But it does work. The way they write, the way it's written, the characters, they have a lot of depth, and not all of the answers are given to you in the first book, which is why I'm excited about the Masked City, because it means I get to find out more about the library itself, more about the backstory of the characters, because they only kind of sprinkle some detail there in the first book. So I'm looking forward to see where it goes, and hopefully I'll be able to tell you a bit more about that in the next On the Shelf. So another thing I'm quite excited to tell you all about is that I have heard a big rumour that Philip Pullman's Dark Materials trilogy is being made into a TV series. This is one of the series I read as a teenager. It's a young adult fiction series, but it has quite a lot of mature themes and it touches on a lot of darker topics. But when you're that young, you don't really notice them. It's only when you get a little bit older and you go, ooh, hang on a minute there. So I'm intrigued to see what they do with it as a TV series, because I actually quite liked the film when it was originally made into a film, but some of the casting was a little bit off, and it took a bit of a nosedive out of plotland, through a hole, and into the netherworld, off in the distance somewhere, and never came back again. So yeah, I want to see where that goes. If you haven't read the Dark Materials trilogy, I would highly recommend it to anyone who wants a fantasy read. It follows the tale of Lyra and her friends and her family, and it's really a tale about growing up, because she has to grow up substantially through the books, and it's all about the trials and tribulations about going from being a child to being an adult in this fantasy setting. One of the contrasts you have is that when you're a child, your demon, which is like your soul, it's part of your soul, and it's worn outside of your body, and it comes in the shape of an animal normally. It can change at will, and it signifies the flightiness of that particular person. But when you reach a certain age, and for some reason it can be older, some people it can be younger, the familiar stops changing and settles down into a shape, and that's part of like the transition of childhood into adulthood. And it's very interesting to watch her go through that transition. So yeah, if you like a good fantasy coming of age trilogy, then that one's your book. And unfortunately that's actually all I've got for this month. It's been a little bit hectic. I haven't had time to read as much as I wanted to. Hopefully over Christmas I'll be able to get a little bit more reading done, maybe. That'd be lovely. But thank you all very much for watching. This has been In the Library. My name is Lady Asbat, and if you like what I'm doing, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm now 5 subscribers off 200, and when I hit 200 I'm doing a really big giveaway, and it's going to be awesome, and you have to be subscribed to my channel in order to partake of that. So thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next month. Goodbye!